fire up your computer. This is Grandpa Tony's second podcast. We're in a crisis, but we've been there before. 1968 is a good example. Vietnam War was raging. LBJ saw that Robert Kennedy was going to challenge him for the presidency, and he decided not to run because he was afraid of Robert Kennedy. And then, of course, Robert Kennedy became the presumptive nominee, and of course, he was killed, assassinated. And on the day he was assassinated, Richard Nixon said, "I've just been elected President of the United States." Richard Nixon was a bit of a screwball, but he was an extremely intelligent person, extremely good politician. He knew. He also was afraid of Robert Kennedy, but he was gone. And there was nothing else in the Democratic Party that could beat him, and he knew that. And he, of course, eventually became the next president of the United States, but during a tremendous turmoil. And so he escalated the war. He made it even worse than it was to LBJ, who at least had a conscience. He realized he was lied to. He realized that he lied to the American public. And so he decided to get out of the scene. His political ambitions were no longer going to murder young American men and women for no reason whatsoever. And Nixon just carried on the war because he was put into office by the right-wing part of his party and the country and the silent majority, as he called them. And so we continued with the Vietnam War and until Watergate, and then that made Nixon a little bit less powerful. And we know what happened, but he still, in 1972, he won the overwhelmingly unanimous election in 1972, even with Watergate. And then, of course, they proceeded to destroy themselves with the recordings, which, of course, he should have burned, but he didn't. And he said that himself later on in his years. But they got him out, and he decided to resign. But before he resigned, he and Kissinger came up with a peace plan. And they had negotiated peace with North Vietnam, so we exchanged prisoners. We got some prisoners back. We all remember those scenes of them coming off the planes and grabbing their loved ones and hugging and kissing and all that. And worked out fine. At least he resigned, but before he did, he established a great many great things. He might have been a little bit on the, had a few cups and saucers missing, but he accomplished a lot of great things, and one of them was the peace in Vietnam. He negotiated a peace. But the Vietnamese, they negotiated a peace with him. But when he resigned, 2 weeks after he resigned, they attacked South Vietnam again, because they knew that Ford was not Nixon. They knew that Nixon would drop the big one on Hanoi. The Vietnamese knew that. They weren't stupid. They knew he had a few marbles loose and he would drop the atom bomb on Hanoi. He even said he would. So Ford came into office. The Vietnamese opened to use that. Never let a good crisis go wasted. Kennedy knew that when he decided to run against LBJ. The Vietnamese knew that, so they attacked South Vietnamese. And we all remember the scenes of the Americans fleeing and the helicopters being thrown off the aircraft carriers and us getting our asses kicked and thrown out of Vietnam. We lost that war. We won a lot, so it wasn't that bad. Now, of course, Vietnam is one of the most prosperous countries in the world. It's a great place to visit. It's still communist. So all those lies we were told by these corrupt politicians didn't destroy us, but it did destroy 50,000 American lives needlessly. We didn't let the generals do what they could do. We didn't let the generals do it in Korea. Truman fired McCarthy. He was ready to bomb North Korea's border with China off the face of the map. He was just ready to go. He would have done it. And he had the brain, the military brains to do it, but he was restricted, sent back, peace. And it's still going on. The guy is still, the madman's grandson is up there now, just as much, if not more, of a madman. And a good president, a good friend of the current president of the United States, as is Putin. Keep that in the back of your mind. He's still president for the next 3 months. But that's another story, another podcast. What I'm trying to say is that we've been through this horror before. The Vietnam, the riots were unbelievable, but this time, the riots will be unbelievable also as soon as Biden is declared president, but they have guns. They will take to the streets with guns. So be careful with your anti-Trump rhetoric now. Stay safe. It's going to be a very trying time for the next 3 months. Believe me, it's going to get worse, and then it's going to get worse. So use your mind. We've been through this before. We'll get through this, no problem. But we need to think very carefully about what actions we take during the next 3 months until we get a more sensible government. This president is president for 3 more months. He can declare a martial law anytime a crisis comes sufficient and enough, and he has 2 crazy friends who are leading very powerful countries. So take it slow. We'll get through this. Biden is definitely the next president of the United States. So live with it. Enjoy yourselves. See you next time.